ever wanted to sit down at the piano and just play, but then it kind of sounds flat or boring, or you never know exactly what to do? Today, I'm going to show you a beautiful, absolutely haunting chord progression that you can play even as a beginner. I'm going to start easy and go to a little bit more complex as we go along, so that at the end of this video, you will be playing something that sounds cinematic, dramatic, and absolutely gorgeous. So stick with me. I would love to show you exactly how to do this chord progression using A minor harmonic magic. Since we're talking about minor chord progressions today, let me know in the comments below if this is the first time that you've ever dived into the world of playing in a minor key. If this kind of thing interests you, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and hit that bell icon so that you know every time I upload a new video. Hi, my name's Rebecca, and welcome to my music studio. I'm so glad that you're here. I am a firm believer that even if you don't know how to read music on the page yet, you may still be working on that, that every single time you sit down at the piano, you can create absolutely beautiful music through piano improvisation. If this is something that you have never done, you're not alone. I spent years playing the piano and even studied music in college, and I never was taught the step-by-step of how exactly to improvise on the piano. So if this is your first time, welcome to my channel. I am so thankful that you are going to join us on this musical journey. And before you know it, you're going to be playing with both hands on the piano an absolutely beautiful chord progression. I'm so excited about this one because it employs some of my favorite techniques, which includes playing with both hands, playing hands separately and then together, and then using the harmonic minor scale, which is absolutely beautiful. This seems scary for a lot of people and intimidating, but I'm here to tell you that you can do this and you're going to absolutely love it. I can't wait to hear how your beautiful improvisation session goes. If you love the thought of improvisation, but it intimidates you, check out this video. This is a great one for absolute beginners, that if you've even never sat down at the piano, you can do it, and I'll show you exactly how to do that here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the key that we're going to play in today, which is the key of A minor. So I love A minor because it is a relative to C major. And what that means is that you don't play any black notes, at least in the natural form. So if we started in C major and played the scale, you'll notice I played between C and C, but only played white notes. In order to find the relative minor of any major key, the only thing that we have to do is start on the note of the major key, which in this case is C major, and we're going to go down 3 half steps. A half step is any note that is closest to your current note, whether that note is black or white. So in this case, we start on C. We're going 3 half steps to the left. So this is 1, 2, 3, and that leads us to A. So what this means is now, instead of playing between C and C, all the white notes, we're now going to play between A and A, all of the white notes. So let's start out by using just one finger and playing only white notes between A and A so that we can establish the key in our ear. Here we go. That is called the natural minor. The natural minor is the exact same key signature as the major key. So there are actually 2 different kinds of minor scales that we're going to use today, which includes the natural minor, which is what we just did, all the white notes between A and A. But then we're going to use 2 different parent scales. And the first one is called the harmonic scale. And all that means is we take the natural scale that we just did, and we're going to make one change to it. And the only change is that on the 7th tone, we're going to raise it by a half step. We're going to go 1 note to the right. So let's figure out what the 7th tone is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So instead of this G, this time, we're going to play the next note to the right, which is this black note, which is a G sharp. And we're going to skip over the G. Listen to how this sounds different. G sharp, and then coming back down. So that is called the harmonic minor. The other form of the scale that we're going to employ today is called the melodic minor, which you may be less familiar with. And that does two things. Number one, it takes the number 6 and number 7 of the scale and raises it by a half step on the way up. But then on the way down, it lowers it back down to the natural version. So let's find number 6 and 7 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's this F. So we're going to play an F sharp instead of the F. And then our G is raising to a G sharp also. So we have F sharp, G sharp, and then A. So here's what this melodic minor sounds like going up, and then coming back down will just be the natural. And then coming back down, we natural it. So there's 3 different scales that you're going to want to go over before we begin our improvisation. Now, scales are super intimidating for beginners, and if you've never done scales before, I understand how intimidating it can be, but really it does not have to be. So I would practice that a few times just to get the scale in your ear and also to work on your finger dexterity. I'm going to show you the chord progression in our left hand in triad form before I give you a representative version that might be a little bit easier to play in your left hand before we get both hands involved. So first we're going to start with an A minor triad, that's our number 1, and we have A, C, E. Then we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the E. Now, for this one, we're going to actually make an E major chord. This is where the harmonic minor comes in. So instead of doing an E minor where it's E, G, B, we're going to take that G and make it sharped. And then we're going to employ the 7th of the key. And so that is adding a D also in there. So the way that we find a 7th is we take an octave, E, and we're going to go down 1 full step, which is a half step and a half step. That leads us to the D. So we have E, G sharp, B, and D. Now I realize that as a beginner, it is very difficult to hit a 4-note chord in your left hand. So just bear with me. If you can't do that, that's okay. Just do the E major right now. We will talk about the D later, and we're going to add the D with our right hand. Okay, so we have an A minor to an E major 7th chord, and then we're going to our 6th chord. So from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're building a chord on F. It is F, A, C. So we're going from the E major 7 to an F major chord. Then we're going to the minor 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is D, F, A. And then we're going to go back to that E major 7. And then back to our 1. So let's go in order and look at all of these in triad form before I show you the representative version. So we have our 1 chord to our major 5, 7. To our 6, to our minor 4, back to our major 5, 7, and then back to 1. Now let me give you the representative version, which is going to be a little bit easier for your hand because it definitely is only 3 notes at a time instead of the 4. I love to do this representative version of chords in my left hand. It's my go-to. But if you would like some different options for left hand patterns, check out this video. It shows some easy chord patterns that you can do in your left hand as a beginner. So we're going to start out with our 1 chord, which is our A minor, and we're going to represent that with an octave. Now, if just doing 2 notes is all that you want to do, that is totally fine. You can stay here. or you can use your 2-finger and put it down on the 5th. So it would be A, E, A. Then we're going to our E7, which we saw was E, G sharp, B, D. And for this one, I want you to do either, you have a choice. You can do an E with a B in the middle, but that doesn't give us all of our information. So what I like to do is an E on the bottom and a D on the top. And if you want to, put that G in the middle. So this one does feel different than our regular representative chord. So you have different options. Again, we have our octave with a B in the middle, or you have E and D with a G in the middle, either one. Our next chord is our F chord, so we have an F octave with a C in the middle. Then we have a D octave with an A in the middle. Then we're back to our E, and then back to our A. So practice that a few times, and in your practicing, you can either play them all together like this, or you can do an arpeggiated pattern. That means you can start at the bottom and go to the top and hold them down, or you can do them something like this, which is something that I like to do. You may not feel prepared, but already it is time to do 2 hands at the same time. But we're going to do it in an easy way where we're alternating between our left hand pattern and our right hand pattern. So we're going to go through with the representative chords in the left, and then our right hand is going to be in a 5-finger pattern. That 5-finger pattern is very easy because it is all of our white notes. We're going to do A, B, C, D, and E. And that's it. That's your only choices to start this off today. So we're going to take our representative chord over here and play 1 beat. And then we're going to play 3 beats over here of any of those 5 notes. So it can sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we switch to our next chord, which is our E. And then go to F, D, E, if you use your sustain pedal, which is the pedal all the way to the right, if you have that, it holds your sound down and it gives it kind of an ethereal quality so that all the sound blends together, and I like to do that as well. So make sure with this video, any of the steps that you need to stop on and pause the video and practice before moving on to the next step. I always go from simpler to more complex. Do not move on if you are not prepared to do so. But if you are, we're going to now go on to the next step, which is doing it all together. So this time we're going to play, you have any of these notes and you can play more than one at a time. And we're going to try to arpeggiate our left hand. So it can sound something like this. And give yourself the freedom that if you need to go very slowly, you can. If you want to try it again because you didn't like how it sounded, then absolutely do that as well. But make sure that you can play both hands at the same time before you move on to our next step, which is expanding the right hand. The next step is to spend some time in your right hand looking at our chords. And we're going to talk about what inversions are. This is not a scary word. It simply gives you more freedoms. Inversions simply mean that when you have a triad, you can play it in the root position, which is the stacked chord like this. Or you can take the A off the bottom. You can put it at the top. That's called the first inversion. Or you can take the C off the bottom, put that at the top. And that's the second inversion. And then it brings you back to our first one. So for all of these, we're going to look at the different inversions. And the reason that we are doing this is because we can find different patterns so that your hand does not have to move around as much. So I would start by playing all of the different triads in the different inversions and then coming up and then coming back down. Now for the E major 7, this is actually going to have 3 inversions because there are 4 notes. So let's look at those. I'll start down here just so we don't run out of room. So we have our regular triad. We have our E, G sharp, B, D on top. Now we're going to take the E off the bottom and put that at the top. Then we're taking the G sharp off the bottom, putting that at the top. And then the B off the bottom and put that at the top. So I want you to practice all of those going up and coming down, and that might take some time. It took me some time to be able to learn the different inversions for a 7th chord, but you can do it. Just give yourself grace. Same thing for the F. First inversion, second inversion, all the way up. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's what I want you to do. I want you to play with the inversions first and play them up and then play them down, just so you get familiar, your hand gets familiar with these different patterns. Now we're going to make some inversion decisions. And this is something that is really left up to the player in the moment. So I'm going to show you how I make these decisions. Whether or not they are decisions you would make is too soon to tell. But you can either do exactly what I'm doing or choose something else. You are a musician in your own right, and you get to make those decisions. That is what I think is so cool about piano improvisation. So for this one, I am going to actually start with my second inversion of an A minor chord here, where I have the C on top. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I see that I have an E coming up. Okay, you don't have to do it this way like I was saying, but this is just one version. Okay, so this is our first chord. We have A, C, and E. All right, our second chord is an E major 7. We have E, G sharp, B, and D. So from here, we have G sharp right next to it. So let's take that. E is already down. And we just need a B and a D. So that's in our root position. All right, so we're going from our A minor to our E major 7 in the root position. Then we have F major, F, A, and C. F is right here, A is right here, and C is right here. So we're going to also stay in the root position for F. So let's look at all 3 of those. We have A minor, E major 7, F. Now for D, which is our next one, D minor, we have D, F, and A. So we already have an F and an A that are down already, and we're very close to our D here. So let's just move our pinky up like that. And that's a lot easier than going down this way. Do you hear the difference? We didn't have to move anything except for our pinky there. And then we're going back to our E major 7. So let's take the full chord right there, the stacked chord, and then we're back to our A from the beginning. So this is one version of how to do this. All right, so let's do the entire thing. And now it's time to add both hands together. So we're going to go very slowly and hear how this sounds together. Now you may stop right there, or you may want to go on and try just a little bit more. So this is only if you are completely comfortable with the inversions, with your left hand's movement, and now you want to take it a step further. So now the only thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be expanding between the octave of, let's take this lower octave and this higher octave. And basically anything within the scale, including an F sharp, because that was from our melodic minor. We can use an F sharp and a G sharp. You can also use an F and a G, so it just adds a little bit more to it. You can do anything in between. So now let's give this a try where we're thinking of inversions, we're thinking of our melody notes, we're thinking of this scale, you're thinking of the natural, harmonic, and melodic minor, and the left hand as well with our chord progression. Remember, this is after you've practiced. Please do not move on to this step if you are not absolutely prepared, but let's give this a try. One additional note, if you are really struggling with finger patterns and how to create a melody, check out this video that I have linked in this description box. It's a really easy way of using your right hand and using 5-finger patterns to create melody easily in your right hand. All right, so give it a try. If there's a portion of this video that you are really struggling with, there's no big deal. Just pause it and end there for your session. You get frustrated, walk away, come back tomorrow. Playing the piano should not be a time of frustration. It should be a time of letting your emotions flow through the music. And that's what I love so much about piano improvisation. Let me know if you're having any trouble in any of these steps. Let me know in the comments below. If there's anything you'd like me to dive a little bit deeper into, I would love to consider doing that. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful time practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.